Hey, it's Brian from Be the Nice Kid. We get stuck sometimes, right? We get stuck, we can't figure things out, and guess what? Our kids are the same way. And in order to kind of help our kids along and kind of coach our kids through things, we sometimes throw a lot of information at them, right? We sometimes kind of just throw stuff at them and hopefully they kind of retain it. But educators and teachers and parents, there's a better way for this too. There's a better way. There's actually a little framework that we can do, because I've been teaching for a long time. I teach golf, but I've been teaching kids golf for 23 years, a long time. And I've figured out some things over these years that has kind of helped kids along. And I see kids progress quicker, and I see kids kind of retain information. And from my own mentors that have helped me, and from things I've read, things I've experienced, schools I've visited through Be the Nice Kid, I found out there's 3 things that we can do to kind of help our kids get along quicker, retain information, and just kind of help them out in general, because it's tough right now, isn't it? It's tough. A lot of kids are at home right now. A lot of kids are learning in different ways, and it's tough to stay focused sometimes. So what we're going to do is we're going to help them out through these 3 things. So first thing we're going to do here, number 1, we're going to have 2 whats and 2 hows. It's a here's what and a here's how. And the first here's what is this. Here's what to pay attention to. Now, when we explain a situation to kids, or when we bring up a subject or a topic, we say, okay, here's what I want you to pay attention to. Here's the things I want you to look for in this topic. So when I'm teaching golf, it might be on putting. And I'm teaching someone how to putt, I might say, okay, here's what to look for. Here's what to pay attention to. You're gonna look at the green, and you're gonna see if it curves one way or another. Then you're gonna look how fast the ball rolls. Maybe you're gonna look where your hands are on the club. These are little clues you're gonna pay attention to. If we're talking algebra, in algebra, maybe it's you're looking at the signs. Is it multiplication? Is it division? Is it subtraction? Is it addition? Pay attention to these little things. It's gonna help you along the way. These clues are big. So the first thing I want to do is say, here's what I want you to pay attention to. Second what. Here's what that means. Here's what that means. So if I'm teaching putting again, I say, okay, look for the curve of it. If it curves and this side of the hill is really high and down here it's low, it means it's going to curve this way. That's what that means. The ball is going to find that curve and keep going down. In algebra, what we're talking about what that means, it might be this symbol means something. Maybe this symbol, you have to do a certain step first. So pay attention to those things, because that's what that's going to mean. We explain these things to kids. Start off with this stuff. Start out with the what's. Here's what I want to pay attention to. And those things and those clues you kind of do pay attention to, here's what that actually means. First, how. Here's how. Here's how that works. Now we're going to start getting into a little bit more of kind of teaching them and guiding them and showing them. So it works because the ball slows down on the hill. It takes this steep part and it rolls down. When your hands are on the club, it works that if you're a looser grip, the club can move easier. If you have a tighter grip, then the club can't move as easy. Algebra again. Go for steps. Look at that multiplication and division. Here's how that works. Well, it works because we're going to take the things in parentheses first. That's how this is going to work first. Then we're going to take the multiplication and division. Then at the end, we're going to do the other things. Now, I know that I'm not really explaining this that great. Algebra teachers, you're better than I am at this, but this is what my son's learning right now. So I'm trying to help him out with these things, because I've learned these things before. We take our experience, right? And we try to help our kids with these things. So we know how certain things work. Explain to them how these things work. Sometimes they're going to get it. Sometimes they're going to retain it right away. Sometimes they're not. But here's what we're going to do. Here's how it works. Fourth thing. The second how. So here's how things will turn out. This is the biggest one. This is where we come from with our experience. Here's how things will work out. We're going to tell them what's going to happen. Let them know what's going to happen. If you do the parentheses first, and then you do the multiplication, the division, you do the other stuff at the end, this is the answer you're going to get. If you do it the other way, this is the answer you're going to get. In math, there's one right answer like that. In golf, it's different. When I'm teaching golf, this is how things are going to work out. Might be a little bit different, but tell them what's going to happen. Out of these 4 things, that's the biggest one. Tell them what's actually going to happen. If I'm teaching inclusion, and I'm teaching kids how to include other people in their group or bring other people into their kind of little aura in their world, I'm going to tell people how things are going to work out. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? If you go up to this person, you ask them to play because you see that they're lonely, I guarantee you they're going to come over and play with you because they're looking for that. They're looking for things like this. I guarantee you, if you bring something to someone and they've been taught correctly, they're going to say thank you when they accept that thing. This is how things are going to turn out. People get nervous sometimes. People get nervous about doing certain things. For me, it was giving speeches when I was a kid. I could not give speeches when I was a kid. I couldn't talk in front of people. I could never do this to camera stuff like this. There's no way. I couldn't do it. But people told me how things are going to turn out. They told me, you're going to go up there and you're going to talk for a while. And at the end, people are going to clap for you. They're not going to throw stuff at you. They're not going to boo you. They're not going to do anything like that. This is what's going to happen. When I took my playing test to turn pro and become a professional golfer, I had a good question from a guy. He said, you know how things are going to turn out? I said, I don't. I'm kind of nervous about this. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can pass this test. And he said, what's the worst thing that could happen? I thought about it for a second. I'm like, well, the worst thing is I take the test over again. He goes, exactly. That's it. That's how things can turn out. You're either going to take the test again or you're going to pass it. One of the two. Use your experience with kids to help them and tell them how things are going to turn out. Now, this is part one. So I want you to come back for part two, because in part two, I'm going to tell you this little second step here, and we're going to go through an example. And we're going to kind of talk you through this and on how we can actually help our kids retain more, focus more, learn more. And you might learn a bit of something too about yourself. So, part two coming up. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you soon. Bye.